Good evening, guys. So today I'm going to give you a little run through on some small pocket knives and obviously what kind of things to pick if you're an entry level outdoorsman, you want a bit of a blade to take out with you, or whether you want something a little bit more advanced, especially when it's not feasible to take a large bushcraft knife out with you. So just to kick things off, I'm going to start with these knives here. Now these knives are basically designed after the Swiss Army knife, which actually this red one is an actual Swiss Army knife. Now with these knives, they're very useful. So I'll start with your Swiss. The Swiss Army knives, they range in price dependent on the size. My Swiss Army knife is just a standard size Swiss Army knife. There's nothing special about it. But with this knife, I've had this knife since I was about 12 years old. It's actually one of the first knives I ever had. But with this knife, has basically everything you could ever need on there. So I'll just take out all the attachments here for you, just so you can have a little look. Now with the Swiss Army knife, these Swiss Army knives are very good for anyone who's at the beginner level, entry level outdoorsman, or anyone who's looking at getting into things like scouting, purely because really all you need is a blade. Now I'm quite fortunate with my Swiss, it actually has two. Now both these blades hold their edges very well. So like I say, considering the age of this knife, it's actually very usable still. As some of my other knives I've had, after a few sharpens, a few trips out, they start to dull, and they're a bit more unusable. With this knife, it comes equipped with the two blades. It also has a can opener on here, which has a small screwdriver on top. You have a bottle opener with a bigger screwdriver, pair of scissors, which this pair of scissors is actually a better pair of scissors, a better cutting tool than some of my actual cheaper knives. On the back end, you also have a corkscrew, and you have got in here as well a small brador. Now my brador is a very good brador. It has a small blade attached to it as well. But with the brador, I use it a lot for not only drilling wood, I also use it a lot for putting holes in tarps if I'm putting up a shelter, put some guy ropes through it if I haven't got the eyelet holes in there. I also use it, you've probably seen in my kit video, I make a tin can stove every now and again. If I'm not too worried about the precision of where my holes are or the neatness of it, just jam the brador in there, get a good hole done. So all in all, Swiss Army knife is a very good way to go. It also has these useful little pockets here on the back. Now mine has two. You can get some that have pockets this end and pockets this end. You can also get some Swiss Army knives that are this sort of size, so they do vary in size. With these you can get various attachments to go in them. I've opted for the good old toothpick, but also a small pair of tweezers, which you double up very well as little first aid tweezers, especially when it comes to getting out splinters and stuff like that. The downside is they're very easy to lose. You can get other things for these, like little ballpoint pens and things that will go in there, so you can pick and choose what you do put in your Swiss. Now this Swiss, like I said, I bought for about £25. Obviously for an entry-level knife, it's still a fair bit of money to part with. So I put this one out for you. This is a Olson. This is basically a cheap version of a Swiss Army knife. Now with this knife, it does have all the similar kind of attachments on there. This one comes equipped with a couple of saws. Has got a pair of scissors on, which to be fair, the pair of scissors is pretty shit. But for the most part, the knife is a very good knife. It's a stainless steel blade, holds an edge very well. In fact, I cut myself on it a few times the other day. And the saw is very usable. Now this knife though, picked this up from Tesco, paid about £3 for it. Granted, that was going back a few years, so you're probably looking more the £5–6 mark now. But certainly as an entry-level knife or someone who is getting into something like scouting, it's a very good knife to pick up. It's got everything they could ever need on it. But with these knives as well, as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm British. So with these knives, we're very particular in the UK about our knives. We're not allowed to carry locking knives in public. They're illegal for us to carry, obviously, unless we have a good reason for them. So these as an everyday pocket knife work very well in our favour as well. They're non-locking, but they will still do the job. So as far as an entry-level knife is concerned, these are absolutely perfect. Some people don't like something that is tailored more as a knife, so I have popped out for you as well a little multi-tool. Now these obviously are brilliant, you can just chuck them in your car, but at least you know you have a blade there should you need it. So obviously these are primarily a pair of pliers. I will carry these if it's a bit wet out, excuse me, just as a bit of a stronger grip than my hands. But this comes equipped, it has a knife on here, which is a really decent knife. It also has a little saw on here and screwdrivers and can openers and things as well. So as far as something just to chuck in your car, or if you do a lot of cycling or anything like that, or just to chuck it in your backpack, you never know when it's going to come in useful for you. But it also has those bare necessities on there as well. Now these, again, really inexpensive. This one was about £4. Again, I've had this for a while. Anyone who's watched my kit video will know I have a Stanley one, which I paid about £10 for. You can get some quite large versions. In fact, I've got a Gerber Leatherman type multi-tool, which is actually a lot bigger. So as far as entry level goes, these kind of things are perfect. Has everything that you need on there, and they're not too threatening, because obviously the last thing you want to be doing is getting pulled over by the police and you have this on you. It looks like you're up to no good, when in reality you could just be coming back from a nice little walk. Moving on to these knives though, these kind of knives are the knives I'll carry if I'm generally going out camping or I'm going out hiking, anything like that where I might need a more sturdy blade, something that's more comfortable for myself. So I'll start with this one. This here is a Gerber LST, which is a lightweight knife. It's a very popular pocket knife in the US, because over in the US people are getting more into doing minimalist backpacking or lightweight bug out bags. So this is an ultralight knife. The handle is like a plastic. It is got a bit of flex in there, but it is a very, very good knife. I do strongly rate Gerber knives. That is my opinion. Obviously, I don't want to get into an argument. Obviously, everyone has their own opinions on what's a great knife, but I've never had a problem with Gerber. And as far as a lightweight knife, it's very easy to forget I have this on me. I do have to be careful because it is the locking knife, so I try not to make sure I've got it on me all the time. The lock is on the back of the handle. It is springed to go back into the handle, so once you get so far it will just drop itself back in. So as far as a one-handed opener goes, there is a bit of a technique to it. It doesn't have a thumb nut, so you have to pinch the blade, bring it round, and one hand closing. You just have to be careful you don't shut it on your knuckles. But all in all, it's a very good knife. It holds an edge very well. It does have the little lanyard hole, so I know some people will wear it around their necks. I've just put a little monkey fist on there. And so it's a nice little knife to have. I do strongly recommend them. They're about £25 in the UK. I know you can get them cheaper than that in the US, so it just depends where you get it from, really. The most surprising knife that I have is this one. So as far as an intermediate to advanced level knife, these two knives typically will work very well. This knife is actually just a cheap pocket knife. I paid £6 for this knife. It has a belt clip on the back, has two thumb nuts, so whether you're left-handed or right-handed, you've got a smooth one-handed open. It does have a lock, so again, I can't carry this too often, but the lock's in the inside of the handle like your more traditional jackknives. Now, with this, I was pleasantly surprised because the blade holds its edge very well. It actually holds its edge a lot better than my Swiss. So from that angle, I really couldn't fault it. It's a nice chunky knife. It's got some weight to it. As far as an everyday pocket knife, for me in the UK, it's a bit too big. But as far as a camping knife or a survival knife, it does the job. It's not going to go out and batten wood for you or anything like that. But as far as opening things up, cutting things down, you can even skin game with this if you keep the edge nice. It's a very, very good knife. So sometimes you don't have to spend the earth. Like I said, I paid £25 for this, and to be honest, sometimes I get a better use out of my cheaper knife. Just depends on what work I'm doing, really. So for the money I paid for this, I was very, very happy with this knife. Now, the final knife I have for you is more of an optional tool, which is this one just here. This is a Olson knife again, just like this one. This is a Stanley knife. So the reason I carry this, a few different reasons really. Well, I like to, if I need to cut a bit of tarp, I like to get a clean edge on there. If I need to cut any cloth for char cloth, it's a lot easier with this. I've even used them for cutting bandages, bits of skin if I've got dead skin falling off from a wound. They're very versatile. It never hurts to have a precision edge. They're very easy to change the blades, simple as that. But with these, again, it's a locking knife. So for me, I have to be very, very careful. But I do prefer these to your standard box cutter knives or snap knives, purely because it does shut into the handle. So at least if I just chuck it in my bag, I haven't got to worry about slicing off my hand off, reaching into my bag. With these knives, very inexpensive. This one was about £10. You can actually, I noticed a few weeks ago, in Poundland in the UK, obviously in America, I'm not sure if you'll be able to get these from your dollar stores or anything, but they do actually have a very small version of these knives, and it is a locking knife again, and it has a small Stanley blade on there. So it's something worthwhile just chucking into your backpack in case you need a precision blade. As you can see, this knife's really rough, it's really old, but it's served me well. It's very good for making small feather sticks with, shaving off some bark for me too. So as an optional thing, it is worthwhile carrying some kind of precision blade, but I do recommend the lock-in Stanley knives. The final thing I have to show you, which I will always chuck into my bag should I be carrying any one of these knives, is this. This is a small ceramic sharpener. It did have a little loop in there, so I've just put, again, another monkey fist. I do like a good monkey fist. Ceramic sharpeners, very good for sharpening a lot of knives. You just simply just pull it through nice and slowly on the ceramic edges, and it gives a nice edge to your knife. Now, as far as a field sharpener goes, it's very good. I have got diamond rods and whetstones and things like that, but for being out and about, this isn't bulky, it doesn't take up too much room. It can sit in my pocket, it'll even sit in some of my pouches on my webbing. You know, it just works. It works very well for me. But these are very inexpensive. You can get these off eBay sometimes for sort of £2–3. You can actually buy them brand new for about £6, so they're worthwhile just chucking in your bag. And it works well with all these knives I've just showed you, obviously apart from Stanley knife, because you just might as well change the blade. So I hope you found that informative, guys. If you have any questions about these knives or where I got them from or anything like that, feel free to hit me up with a comment at the bottom. If there's anything I can do for you, again, just simply ask. I'll certainly try and remember where I picked these up from or any costings or anything like that. Thanks for watching, as always. It's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you again soon. Cheers, guys.